Reconstitution solutions, it's like if you've ever made Kool-Aid. You know, Kool-Aid comes in a little package and it's all powder, and you just add water. But if you add too much water, you're going to get a very weak Kool-Aid. If you don't add enough water, then you get a very strong Kool-Aid. So reconstituting a powdered solution is similar to making Kool-Aid. And if you're reconstituting a solution that is concentrated, and I don't know how many of y'all have ever done this, but bought the frozen orange juice or the frozen lemonade and had to mix it with, you know, let it thaw, and you've got a real thick concentration, high concentration of it. And you have to add like a couple of cans of water to the can. It's either like 2 or 3 cans of water to 1 can of the orange juice, apple juice, lemonade. There's several frozen juices you can buy. When my kids were little, that's how we made orange juice and apple juice, and they loved an apple orange juice mixture, or peach. I bought frozen peach juice, and they loved that mixture. And I could make it as weak as I needed to when they were babies. And it was a lot cheaper than buying the baby food brand of juice. But anyway, off the subject, but you can make it strong or weak. So that's basically what we're doing today, is that we're either getting a powdered medication or we're getting a liquid, highly concentrated medication that we have to add liquid to make it weaker, or to make it the right strength, I guess would be how to put it. So when you're reconstituting the injectable medication, and sometimes it's not just injectable, sometimes it's the kind that you're going to, the oral, depending on where you work at. You must determine both the type and the amount of diluent to be used. We're only going to worry about the amount of diluent. When reconstituting injectable medications, you must determine the volume in milliliters of the diluent. So that's the amount. I don't know why that's on there twice. To be used for the route as ordered. So sometimes if you're giving an IM or an IV, you're going to add different amounts of diluent. When you are reconstituting, and I don't know why it says multiple dose injectables, but you've got to verify the length of potency, because you don't want to reconstitute this medication too soon. Some medications are only stable for an hour. That means after the 1 hour mark, they start to lose their strength, and they're no longer viable. You can't give it. So depending on, you know, which patient's taking the medication, you don't want to reconstitute it until, you know, not long before you give it to me. And that's why a lot of pharmacies don't send up the medication till, or send up the medication where it's already reconstituted. All right, so I'll shut up about all that. And let's look at the first one, the erythromycin. And I'm going to zoom it in, or try to anyway, real close on the label. And it's still, this is just not a good label. But if you look where I've got circled, it says constitute to 100 milligrams per milliliter. Okay, so this is our dosage strength for our dosage form. Another thing we're going to call this is our supply dose. Okay, so a lot of times we'll be looking at it as the supply dose. And it says with 4 milliliters of sterile water for injection. So the 4.8 milliliters is my amount of diluent. Okay, so I'm going to have to add, I just realized I was off the thing. I'll add this much diluent, and when I do to my powder, then I'm going to have 100 milligrams per milliliter. So we know that this is an IV infusion only. The 500 milligrams is the total medication in the vial or bottle or whatever it is. Okay, I think that's all I need from the label. So if we look down here and answer these questions, most of these questions will come from the label. So how much diluent will we add? I'm just looking at the amount. I'm going to add 4.8 milliliters. My resulting supply dosage, that's my dosage strength over my dosage form, and it's 100 milligrams per milliliter. And then the resulting total volume, I'm going to skip that one. I'm going to skip the how many full doses for right now. But we're going to look at how many milliliters will you give. This is what we were doing in chapters 10 and chapters 11. So we're going, if you'll remember, it's the doctor's order, or whatever your order is, over 1 times your dosage form over your dosage strength. So my doctor's order is all the way back up here at the top at 400 milligrams over 1. And then my dosage form and dosage strength is my supply dosage. So the 1 milliliter over 100 milligrams. My milligrams cancel. You could do 400 divided by 100, or you can cancel your zeros and do 4 divided by 1, and I get 4 milliliters. The reason I want to know what's the resulting total volume is what if instead of giving 4 milliliters, what if I was giving like 6 milliliters, but I'm only adding 4.8 milliliters of solution? Am I going to have enough in this vial to give my medication? So when you're adding pollutant, sometimes all it will do, it will dissolve the powder, but it will just expand it and make it a very thick liquid. Or sometimes it will totally dissolve it in the water or solution, and it won't add any volume to your liquid. So to get the resulting total volume, what we're going to do is we're taking the total medication over 1, and then we're times our dosage form over our strength, which is, again, our supply dosage. So I've got 500 milligrams over 1 times milliliter, 1 milliliter over 100 milligrams. My zeros will cancel again, and I have 5 milliliters. So my total volume is the 5 milliliters. I'm giving 4 milliliters enough volume. Okay. But notice, we only added 4.8, but I have a volume of 5. So I'm going to have a thicker volume. Okay. Because it dissolved, but it didn't liquefy. The powder dissolved, but it didn't liquefy. That's how I want to word that. So it just added volume to what we already had. Now, with the total, how many full doses are in the vial? If you've got a multi-dose vials where this one comes in, apply a lot, but you also want to make sure you've got enough medication in this vial to give at least 1 dose. If this is the one, you don't want to reconstitute a medication if you're not going to be able to use it. How many full doses? That's where you take your total medication and you divide it by your doctor's order. So if I've got 500 milligrams for my total medication and 400 milligrams for my doctor's orders, then I have 5/4, which is 1.25. So I have 1 full dose. Okay. We won't do that every time. You won't be asked that on every question on the homework. Well, you might be. You won't be asked that every question on the test, but you might be asked it on the homework. I don't remember. And what my classes said yesterday, the hardest part of this is remembering what you do when. So if you want to print off a sheet and like put down how much diluent, it's on the label. The supply dose, it's in the fine print of the label. The resulting volume is your total medication times your dosage form over your dosage strength. Kind of put your formulas in. How many full doses? That's your total medication over your doctor's orders. And then how much are you going to give? Your doctor's order times your form over your strength. And you can put as your supply dosage, you can put it's your dosage strength over the dosage form. Okay, that's equal to your supply dose. And sometimes that helps you to study to know what you're going to do when. And these will be mixed up on the test. They won't be the same ABCD order. Okay, so any questions? All right, I'm getting feedback from somebody. So if y'all will mute your mics, please, that would be helpful. And if you have a question, you can unmute them. Okay. Let's look at the ampicillin. Let me see if I can zoom it in on my order or on my label. Okay, this one's a little bit clearer to see. I have the 1 gram of ampicillin. The 1 gram, again, is my total medication in the vial. Then how much, the diluent, it says for IM, but I've got to check first. I am giving it as an IM. I'm giving 500 milligrams as an IM. So for IM use, it says add 3.5 milliliters of diluent. So the amount of diluent I'm going to add is 3.5 milliliters. It comes from right there. Then if we keep reading, it says read accompanying insert for added information, more or less. And then resulting solution contains 250 milligrams ampicillin per 1 milliliter. This right here is my supply dose. 250 milligrams per milliliter. My dosage strength over my dosage form. All right, so this time I'm going to look, what is my resulting volume? And then again, remember the resulting volume is your total medication. My total medication is 1 gram. And if you guys know already that 1 gram is 1,000 milligrams, you can go ahead and do your conversion here. Times my supply dose, my dosage form over my dosage strength. And then I'm going to do my conversion. So there's 1,000 milligrams in 1 gram. So all that cancels. So then I have just 1,000 on top, 250 on bottom. And then I can cancel a 0 on top with a 0 on bottom. And I have 100 divided by 25, which gives me 4. And I'm in milliliters. So my resulting total volume is 4 milliliters. So we're going to skip D. We're not going to worry about how many full doses we have in the vial. I need to know what my doctor's orders are. My doctor's orders is 500 milligrams. So I'm going to see how many milliliters I'm going to give. It's always for 1 dose. So 500 milligrams over 1. my dosage form over my dosage strength. Milligrams cancel. I can cancel a 0 on top and on bottom. I'm left with 50 over 25, which is 2 milliliters. Okay. Now I can look right here. I've got 4 milliliters of solution, 2 milliliters that I'm going to give. Could I tell from this right here how many full doses I'm going to have? I'm going to have at least one, right? Because, 2 milliliters, I'm still going to, 4 milliliters is greater than 2, so I'm going to have at least one. I should actually have about 2 full doses. So any questions? Wish there was, raise your hand, but that's for, you got a question. I wish I had a thumbs up, thumbs down sign like we could do when we were in the classroom. Okay. So I'm going to let's look at the order for ampicillin. 375 milligrams IM. Check our label. We've got ampicillin. It's for IM use. I've got 500 milligrams, which is, again, my total medication. Okay, so that's not my supply dose. That's just my total medication. Since I'm giving an IM, I'm going to look at the IM use. I've got 1.8 milliliters of diluent that I'm going to add. So so how much diluent is 1.8 milliliters. The resulting solution contains 250 milligrams of ampicillin per milliliter. So that's my supply dosage. My dosage form over my dosage strength. I'd have to. And then I'm going to look. I'm going to skip this time. No, let's go ahead with the resulting volume. How many milliliters do I have total? So it's my total medication times my supply dose, 1 milliliter over 250 milligrams. Milligrams cancel, the zeros cancel. I have 50 over 25, which gives me 2 milliliters. And then I can go down and look at how many milliliters will you give. And so again, that goes back to my doctor's orders, which is 375 milligrams. And then times the 1 milliliter over 250 milligrams. This is where I have to find my goofy calculator. I wouldn't even try to do that on a good day. So 375 divided by 250. I get 1.5 milliliters. So questions? We doing pretty good? Yes, no, maybe.
I'm good.
Okay. All right, I have the solutions worked out and posted on Canvas. I'll open them where everybody can see them. I want to do another one. I think it's this one. The slow Medrol. My doctor's order is 175 milligrams. It's in an IV. So I've got the Slomedrol, which is the same medication, the 500 milligrams per vial, again, total medication. So since it's an IV, single-use vial, I know it said IV on here somewhere. Oh, this is for intramuscular or intravenous use only. So reconstitute with 8 milliliters of bacteriostatic, I cannot say that one, but I'm going to use 8 milliliters. Again, when you get into the nursing program, that's when you'll have to worry about the type of diluent. I'm only worried about the amount. For injection, and then store solution at a controlled room temperature. It's used within 48 hours, so it's only good for 48 hours. And it says dosage and use, see accompanying prescribing information. Once reconstituted with 8 milliliters, the resultant concentration is 62.5 milligrams per milliliter. We got more. Okay. Then our resulting volume. I take my total medication over 1 times my supply, my dosage form, over my dosage strength. So my milligrams will cancel. I'm going to do 500 divided by 62.5, and I get 8 milliliters. And this is one of those examples to where that when I'm adding enough liquid that it's going to completely liquefy all the medicine, all the powder. So then how many milliliters will I give? Again, what you've been doing, the 175 milligrams over 1 times the 1 milliliter over 62.5 milligrams. Milligrams cancel. So 62.5. I get 2.8 milliliters is what I'm going to give. Now, this is, it said somewhere, a multi-dose vial. No, it's a single-use vial. Okay, so as long as I've got 1 dose out of it, I don't have to worry about how many full doses I have. So are you good with these, or do I need to do a couple more examples? Are we okay?
I think I'm good. I got it.
What about the rest of you?
I'm good.
Okay.
I think I kind of got it.
You want me to do another one just in case?
No. No, I think I got it.
Okay. Well, the next example I'm going to do is they're just not singles. I'm going to add something to it. So, but we'll still be doing the same thing. So if you, maybe it'll solidify in your brain. All right. So this is number 6. It's Pfizerpin. That's the brand name of the drug, but it's penicillin G potassium, and it's 1 million units. Penicillin is generally ordered in units. So this is my total medication. The thing about the penicillin, when you're given, you've got a whole list of information over here. I'm going to turn it this way so it's easier to be read. And this is the number of milliliters of diluent that I'm going to add, and this is units per milliliter. So if I add 20 milliliters, I will have 50,000 units per milliliter. If I'm adding this, this is my supply dosage. Okay, and the supply dosage, especially with the penicillin, will always be 1 milliliter. So if I look at it, if I add 10 milliliters, I'm going to have 100,000 units per milliliter. Those are my supplies. If I do 4 milliliters, I have 250,000 units per milliliter. If I add 1.8 milliliters, I'm going to have 500,000 units per milliliter. So this gives us an opportunity to add just enough solution or just enough diluent to make what we need. We don't want to make too much. We don't want to make too little. But it also makes it where it's the right strength. So I'm not giving quite a few milliliters or too many or not enough where it's a highly concentrated. Things worse. All right, so what we're going to do, and we're going to do the same thing we've been doing, but I've set this one up. Y'all don't need to look at my big fat arm. Is that I've set it up. I'm telling you that the first one we're going to work is that you're adding 20 milliliters of diluent. And we're going to determine, of course, our resulting supply dosage, we just said was 50,000 units per milliliter. So from this information and the doctor's orders, we're going to find our resulting volume. And then we're also going to find how many full doses there is. And we're going to find out how much we're going to give. Okay. So the resulting total volume, my total medication in this case is 1 million units. So it's 1 and 6 zeros over 1 times my supply. So 1 milliliter, 50,000 units. Cancel 4 zeros. I'm going to cancel 4 zeros. So I have 100 over 5, which gives me 20 milliliters. So a lot of times, especially if you're adding quite a bit of diluent, your resulting volume is going to be the same as the amount of diluent. Okay. So then I'm going to look how many full doses are in the vial. So again, this is our total medication, the 1 million units. And it's over what the doctor ordered. And the doctor ordered 300,000 units. So I can cancel 5 and 5. So I have 10 over 3, which is 3 1/3. So I have 3 full doses. We don't care about the fraction. I don't care that I have a partial dose there. I just want the full doses. So if I've got 3 full doses, then I know, I can give this. So if I add the 20 milliliters, how much or how many milliliters am I going to give? So my doctor's orders over 1 times my dosage form over my dosage strength, which is 50,000 units. Units cancel. I've got 4 zeros. I cancel 4 zeros. I've got 30 over 5, which gives me 6 milliliters. And this is for an IM injection. And the maximum number of milliliters you can give in an intramuscular injection in the thighs or in the hips. And I think it's 2 milliliters if you give it in the upper arms. So this would actually be too much to give, right? Now, if I was giving it in an IV, I could give that. So I really don't want to mix the 20 milliliters. So let's look at the 10 milliliters. 10 milliliters is 100,000 units per milliliter. And this is what we looked at a while ago. 10 milliliters, 100,000 units. It's this one right here. So my resulting volume, again, is 1 mile. I feel like I'm on repeat. And this time it's 1 milliliter over 100,000 units because my supplies changed. Units. All right, got 5 zeros. I'm going to cancel 5 zeros. I get 10 over 1. So I have 10 milliliters. Now, how many full doses are in the vial? Again, that's my total medication, which is the 1,000,000 units, over what the doctor ordered, which is the 300,000 units. Cancel 5, cancel 5. I get 10 over 3, which is 3 1/3. So again, I have 3 full doses. And then how much am I going to give? Which is my doctor's orders over 1 times my dosage strength, or the dosage form of the dosage strength units. So I got 5 zeros. I can cancel 5 zeros. My units cancel. I get 3 over 1. So I get 3 milliliters. So that's one that, you know, it's possibly a good one to give. All right. So how are we doing on that?
Pretty good. I was a little lost at first, but I caught back up.
You caught back up. So the only thing different with this one is that you're given the option to choose how much diluent you're going to give. You've got 4 different options to give. And I've just got it set up where we work all 4 options, though I'm not going to work all 4 options. So y'all good with this?
I am.
You are?
Yeah,
Right.
I'm good.
Okay. I want to point one thing out. Sometimes when you have medications, and again, I'm going to zoom this one in. All right, so we're giving the 400 milligrams IV, and it gives us, and it's still hard to read. Sometimes you're going to need a magnifying glass, I think, on some of these labels. But this says for IM, this says for IV. So if I'm giving it as an IV, I'm not going to pay any attention to my IM information. Okay, so this is for the IV administration. It's a C package insert. So over here, I copied off the package insert. And then you have to read carefully, because the ceftriaxone for injection, USP, should be administered intravenously by infusion over a period of 30 minutes. Now, if you're actually giving this, you're going to need to know this information, but since we're just calculating the dose, you don't need it. This is added information for what we're doing. Concentrations between 10 milligrams per milliliter and 40 milligrams per milliliter are recommended. Again, this is added information for what we're doing. However, lower concentrations may be used if desired. Then, reconstitute vials with an appropriate IV diluent, and then after reconstitution, each 1 milliliter of solution contains approximately 100 milligrams, equivalent of ceftriaxone. So this 100 milligrams for every milliliter is my supply dosage. And this is more of what you'll get into in the nursing. Withdraw entire contents and desired concentration with appropriate diluent. But to choose the amount of diluent you're going to add, you've got to know your vial dosage size. Okay. Do we have a 250 milligram vial? Do we have a 500 milligram vial? Do we have a 1 gram or a 2 gram vial? So we go back over here and look at our box or our label. 1 gram, it's my total medication. But it also tells me that I have a 1 gram vial. So I've got the 1 gram vial. That means I'm adding 9.6 milliliters. So my diluent would be 9.6 milliliters. And no matter, even if I had a 250 milligram vial and I only added the 2.4, I'd still have 100 milligrams per milliliter as my supply dosage. So not all your charts are going to be the same. Sometimes they'll go by vials. Sometimes they go by the amount of diluent you're going to add will give you the different concentrations. Okay. So any questions? All right. Y'all are not very talkative. Somewhere on my computer is the course modules. Okay. So can y'all see the course modules?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. I didn't know if you saw those or my ladybug still. All right. So we're done with week 8. This is week 9. And this is Wednesday. So this will go down here to week 10. So the Reconstitution solution examples, you can download them and print them if you want, or just leave them here. If it will come up. Oh. I need the Jeopardy theme song sometimes to play. So I don't know, if it's going to come up or not. Okay, now they're both going to come up. So, excuse me, I've got it all worked out. Every one of them, hopefully with enough explanation that you can see. So you can work the rest of these examples out and then go back to this Reconstitution solutions. See, it'll slide through this also to find out if your answers are right. And then there's a homework assignment, 26 points. It's not a whole lot of questions, but finish it as if you can, week on it. And then we're going to start chapter 13, Good Lord Willing and the Creek Don't Rise, on Monday. So if y'all will read chapter 13, and we're just adding more to it. We're not really we're adding more to what we're doing, which makes it a little more complicated, but it doesn't make it any harder. I know a lot of people associate complicated and hard. It's complicated in the fact that it has more steps, but the math part of it is we're still using dimensional analysis. The math not any harder. But don't try to follow the examples, because I work the examples differently than what the book does. They use ratio proportion and I use, of course, dimensional analysis. But if you'll read through the explanations and everything, I think it'll help you be better prepared on Monday. So you got chapter 12 homework and you got chapter 13 to read. Any questions? So we're all good.
I took the test Monday, and I didn't email you my like the where I did my work. Do I need to do that?
If you want partial credit, yes, please.
Oh, I made 100.
Oh, you made 100? Then no, you don't have to.
Okay, I didn't know if
But-
you needed proof.
On second thought, because there is one question that says to upload your work here.
Oh, I didn't see that.
There was a question that says upload your work here.
Yeah, I didn't see that either.
Okay, then I didn't add it to that. So if you would please, I'm gonna turn off my document camera. Turn that email the work into me, I would appreciate it. Turn my camera back on where you can see me a little bit, so it doesn't look like you're talking to paper. But yeah, I'd appreciate it if you'd email it to me. And then too, if you didn't make 100, I can still give you partial credit for it. So I got to be more careful on these tests and make sure I add that upload your homework here or work shown here.
Yeah, the first time I made an 18 out of 21. That's because I think I didn't put like a label or something, and I didn't want to bother you, so I just took it again. And
That's one of the reasons I have the 2 attempts. Because if you make the 18 out of whatever and you think you know what you did wrong, or you decide, okay, or you see all of a sudden, oh, I know what I did wrong, then you can take the attempt again or take the second attempt. Because you don't have me to say in the classroom, Miss Young, am I doing this right? Am I supposed to, because a lot of people ask questions, and before the test, I'll remind you of stuff in the class. So, but just email me the work you did so I can see it, have proof that you did it. And then we'll have another test come up after chapter 13 sometime. Okay. All right. Well, y'all have a good weekend. And if you got any questions, don't, hesitate to email me. Okay. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Stop recording.